After the Bulls massively violated the Bears 2 days ago, can the Bulls split the cheeks of the Bears once and for all? Meanwhile, if this does come to pass, the biggest pumpathon of all time is closer than ever. And with monster pumpage affecting a few top altcoins, are bears about to begin their winter hibernation early? Bears absolutely need a full tummy to sleep, and we are going to be filling up a little bit more than just their tummies, if you know what I mean. I'm your host, Seymour Scat, and like a bag of string cheese, I'm about to clog you up with this knowledge TA and some very, very big news. So if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to like, subscribe, share these gives me these absolutely time-sensitive alerts. If you want to earn ADA with our pool, make sure to check out the quick 2-minute tour below. And as well, any other bonuses and deals are in the pinned comment below. And without any further ado, let's dump on in. So we're going to be jumping into this Bitcoin TA in just a second here, and as well some top alts looking absolutely beautiful. But first off here, a futures-based Bitcoin ETF has a 75% chance of approval this month, says an analyst. And before we really dive into this, remember, sell the news. Buy the rumor, sell the news is usually the way it goes with investing, at least. And if that is the case, then we could potentially see a run-up in price to correlate with Pumptober to begin with very, very shortly here, as before we even get an approval or denial, it's very likely that the price could pump quite a bit this month. This is historically a much better month for Bitcoin and even stocks than last month. September is just a really bad month usually. And the first 3 days of October are already pumping up very deliciously. So if we take a look here, so a futures-based ETF is not exactly what we want. However, if this does roll out, and even just the news or the rumor that this could roll out, which I also believe is very likely here, then again, the price most likely absolutely will appreciate in the meantime. So various applications, neither denied or allowed, will begin to be processed in November. So there was a delay here, and that's something a lot of people were kind of neutral about, I guess. They essentially have kicked the can down the road on a Bitcoin ETF approval, but that is for physically backed Bitcoin ETFs, okay? Which is the better ETF. A physically backed Bitcoin ETF is much better than a futures-based ETF. However, the chances of us seeing a futures-based ETF approval, according to this article, is actually about 75%. So we've started to see filings under the Investment Company Act with regard to exchange-traded funds, or ETFs, seeking to invest in CME-traded Bitcoin futures. Says Balkunis, when combined with the other federal securities laws, the 40 Act provides significant investor protections for mutual funds and ETFs. I look forward to staff's review of such filings. And so how will a Bitcoin ETF go? Well, Canada actually approved one earlier this year, and it's going really well. In fact, they have, I believe, a mixed Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF as well. So Canada's already very much ahead in this regard. And I think this is going to come to the US before the end of this year, okay? So at least one of them, and even if it's not a physically backed ETF, most likely a futures-backed ETF will be the first, if any ETF to be approved. But this has been in conversations for 4 years now. I remember back in 2017 and 2018 when everybody was excited about the possibility of an ETF. We got Bitcoin futures, and they won formal approval in December of 2017, coincidentally at the very end of the bull market. Basically, when Bitcoin futures rolled out, that was basically the top. And I think in large part, that is what sent Bitcoin from 10K to 20K. So it absolutely pumped the price, and then it dumped the price. Absolutely massive pump and then dump confirmed. But do not get your tubes tied just yet, because I believe there is a lot more in store for Bitcoin's price in terms of pumping if we actually get any of these ETFs, whether it's physically backed or futures based. So also, if we jump into these charts, Bitcoin had a nice move today earlier. I remember spending like 10 days hugging the bottom of this falling wedge. And we broke back into it. And as soon as we broke back into it, we absolutely exploded past it. And you can see we're still actually kind of breaking out. And the breakout target here is rivals back basically the highs we saw back at the beginning of September, about a month ago. And as I said in the last video, if Bitcoin can actually break this previous high here, I think it'll be very quick work to be testing those all-time highs very shortly here. And that's really exciting. So, before we actually continue here, if a Bitcoin ETF does get approved, most likely Bitcoin will pump, okay? What do I mean by that? I mean, Bitcoin will pump. We'll see Bitcoin dominance go up. I do think we'll see an absolutely stellar alt season. I think alts will absolutely pop off eventually. But I personally think if we get a Bitcoin ETF, we're going to see Bitcoin pump, okay? Not the rest of crypto at that moment, but I do think we'll see something similar to like what we saw at the beginning of the year, where it's mainly Bitcoin that pumps. Remember, Bitcoin pumped, and then these 3 months where Bitcoin traded rather sideways here from the middle of February to the middle of May, this period right here where Bitcoin was kind of just staying in the same range, this is when altcoins got absolutely pretty wild here. So that's exciting. And, you know, with a Bitcoin ETF approval, Bitcoin, I think, will be the main dish, the main attraction there. And as well, after this recent breakout to a little above 49,000, which is the highest we've been since the middle of September, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, obviously the next big resistance is 50K, no surprise there. But breaking 50K, again, there's not a ton of resistance there. We have to go back all the way to that 3-month period I just talked about, back from February to May. And yeah, there is resistance in that range, but if we can get enough of an uptrend to actually break this previous high here, set about exactly a month ago, then I think, you know, Bitcoin has another shot to attempt 60K shortly after. It'd only be about a $7,000 pump after we break this level here. And as well, most importantly, after really just struggling to hold 40K, but ultimately holding 40K for quite a long time here, you can see this was like 2 weeks just bouncing exactly in this very, very tight, small range here. Bitcoin has defended this area after defending the $30,000 area, okay? Down here, 30,000 was defended. Now we just defended 40,000. So however you look at this, this is good. Previous resistance becomes support, and this was big resistance. Remember, this was the major zone that we faced so much resistance at. And now what this is basically just a successful flip of resistance into support. So whether or not we can break this high of 53,000 this week or not, at the very least, what we've done is build solidified support here. And that's really what's most important. And as well, you can see that here, we're just barely peeking our heads above this major resistance, which again, 48,000 is really big. And you can see it illustrated exactly why. And this goes back for the last 2 months. This specific range here has been very difficult for Bitcoin to get above, and now we're trying it again. So if we can ultimately flip this into support, basically where we're at right now, which is kind of what we're trying to do, albeit we want a kind of a decent pump here first, at least above 50K, and then flip that into support, absolutely extremely bullish for Bitcoin. And if we just zoom out and look at the weekly, I mean, we can summarize it this way. This is like that last big level of resistance. Another reason why this is big is because, again, this is where we found support for 3 months in that range we just talked about, February to May. So, yeah, it's just a very clear reason why. Like, that's why we got rejected, I believe, back at the beginning of September. And again, even though we've built up massive support now below us, right at 30K, right at 40K, we still have to break a decent amount to the upside here. But on the flip side, we have amazing support now below us. And also, we have to remember that we defended now the 21-week. We didn't even get quite down to the 50-week, but also this gigantic, absolutely cheesy fettuccine level. And as well, as far as altcoins, Ethereum has been looking extremely good. You can see on this daily chart, Ethereum's above all key moving averages and now all key levels of support. Or resistance turn into support. So Ethereum, I think it's very likely will be breaking its previous high set at the beginning of September around 4K. Okay, I think Ethereum is going to blast through 4K here very soon and actually go on to set new all-time highs, very similar to Cardano. Remember, Cardano blasted through its May 16th highs back at the end of August and ended up going significantly above. I believe the highs were about 250, and then it shot up to like 315, 320-ish very briefly there. So, and with that as well, Cardano is in a good position as well. I think these top 3 cryptos are just looking extremely good. And keep in mind, we always have to be aware of everything else going on. One of the reasons somebody asked, like, why aren't you talking about the China stuff anymore? They have like a 30-day, there's like a 30-day grace period. So their deadline was like last week, but they have like 30 days to come up with the money. And that's just kind of standard practice anyway. So again, we're not out of the woods in regards to any of that. We're just kind of sitting in la la land right now, waiting for these deadlines to actually come due. Because there's still billions of dollars. And again, keep in mind, that's also only one factor of a lot of other things. I'm cautiously optimistic about this because I'm excited to see the stock market kind of open up tomorrow. This is the futures, to see how that really does. Because if that gets rejected on the 100 week, but if we see Bitcoin continue to perform strongly here, as we saw it have a really bad Friday, but Bitcoin did really well on Friday. Bitcoin pumped pretty significantly on Friday. Yeah, from about 44 all the way up to about 48. If Bitcoin can pump while the stock market dumps, that's my favorite possible scenario. I don't really care too much about the stock market as long as it doesn't bring Bitcoin down. As you guys know, I'm all in crypto, absolute giant moon boy. And so, yeah, I want Bitcoin. I want crypto to succeed. I don't care if these traditional systems or traditional stocks, I don't care if they succeed at all. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to like, subscribe, turn these gifts to miss these absolutely time-sensitive alerts. As well, if you want to earn rewards for your ADA, staking with our pool. As of this epic, we're actually like looking really good. It takes like a few weeks, unfortunately, for everything to catch up for the epics and the live stake and active stake and everything. So again, the first month is like the hardest, and this pool has not even existed for a month yet. So it's still insanely new. I think about in exactly 1 week, it will have existed for a month. So with that being said, the fact that we have, I think it's like $6 million worth of ADA right now in like 3.5 weeks. The pool will be performing extremely well over the next week. And we're finally exiting the really annoying stage of pretty much starting a pool, which is not the most fun thing. Starting it is the hardest part. And as well, if you guys want any bonuses, anything like that, make sure to check out the pinned comment below. And thank you for the game. That's it for me. Bye-bye.